So for me, I believe that self-belief is the barrier or the lock that prevents men from reaching their potential. Now, that self-belief could come from an array of environments. Your upbringing, not being encouraged enough, not being told that you're good enough, not getting enough appraisal as a kid through school or through your parents, not recognizing your own self-worth. Maybe you didn't do great at school, so you always put yourself down, and the narrative through growing up was always, I'm thick, I'm stupid, I'm not very good at this, I'm not very good at that. Maybe some past comments have affected that self-belief as well. Okay, if you think about those things and those environments and those components that make up or create a negative relationship with yourself, really what the opposite of all of that is low confidence. What we want is confidence. So if we're struggling with self-belief, the opposite of that is confidence. So if we've been knocked through our past, if we've been knocked through our adult life, through relationships, through your weight, through lack of achievement, then we're low on confidence, right? We haven't got that rocket fuel to make us believe in ourselves more, or be able to catch the self-belief that probably cripples you every single day, or the skill set to be able to process it, understand it, and then create a plan to fight back. So, in order to overcome self-belief, we have to go through this one strategy. And this one strategy for me is the thing that got me out of my low self-belief, okay? And it got thousands of other guys out there low self-belief. Now, I want you to think about when you take your kid to ride their bike for the first time, or when you rode your bike for the first time. There are almost 4 steps. The first step was getting on the bike with your stabilizers and somebody assisting you, okay? So going through that process. You then get to the stage where you don't need the adult to be able to hold you, and you go off and you ride your bike with your stabilizers. That's almost phase 2. So from phase 1 to phase 2, you built the belief in yourself enough through the confidence, through going through that process of practicing riding a bike, that you don't need your mum or your dad holding you while you're riding. Then you get to the point where you go, let's get rid of these stabilizers, or the parents encourage for us to lose the stabilizers, and we hold on to that human being for all our life's worth. And they're riding their bike, and you're riding with you holding them, and they're feeling a little bit more belief and confidence in their ability through that process. And then all of a sudden, we let go of those hands, and stage 4 happens. And stage 4 happens is when they don't even realise that you've let go of them, and they're cycling, they're away. And all of a sudden, you recognise that you're riding that bike, and I've got no human being holding me, I've got no stabilisers, and we are riding a bike. And we've gone through that process. So we've gone through process 1 to process 4, okay, by building confidence and belief in our capabilities through a process. Now, in other areas that we do this is learning to drive, building a relationship, building a career. We go through the cycle, boom, 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 or the process of building confidence by showing up and building this process. So through that process, there is always little elements of self-doubt, because we're going into unknown territory, unknown environments that we're not actually sure or aware of. So it means that actually, whoa, my God, I'm starting to ride my bike without stabilizers. I feel a little bit of self-doubt, but I overcome the self-doubt with confidence of keep showing up and following the process and trusting what is in play. Okay, and then suddenly all that self-doubt then gets squashed because you've overwhelmed it with confidence in the ability to keep showing up and practicing. Does that make sense to you? Because if that makes sense to you, that's the number one process that you have to go through to overcome self-doubt. Now, self-doubt is an emotion. It's an emotion that fixes into your brain, and it will always come into your brain whether you're working on yourself or whether you're not working on yourself. The difference in flipping or catching that self-doubt when you're working on yourself and not working on yourself could be the difference between slumping into a pity party for 4 to 6 months or being able to process it over 4 to 6 hours or 4 to 6 days and flipping it. And what I mean by that is that those lads that I work with, they're constantly working on themselves. Sometimes it might not be to their complete potential, but they're working on themselves through a process, just like a process of learning to ride a bike or driving a car. And through that process, they're conditioning and building their mental capabilities. So they're becoming stronger, okay? They're becoming more conditioned. They're becoming more aware. They're becoming more confident. And that confidence is the thing that catches self-doubt when it attacks you. When you get ambushed, and when you do get ambushed by self-doubt, it's a build-up. And those lads that work on themselves and are going through the process, just like your kid riding the bike, man, they can use those coping mechanisms to catch it, to manage their emotions before the behaviours and the actions spiral out of control and we start falling into that pity, okay? And then those that don't work on themselves expose themselves because they struggle with self-doubt, they cripple themselves, they slip into a slumber party, and they spend the next 3 to 6 months there wondering why they're not achieving in life, okay? So the key in all of this, and this summary, is process. If you are in a process, you are naturally slowly building confidence. If you are not building confidence, you're opening up the gates to be ambushed by self-doubt. It's just emotions, but all we're looking at doing is building a process to manage those emotions so that you get the results that you want, so that you're showing up consistently, so that you're reaching your potential. And when you're getting there, self-doubt creeps in less and less and less. And when it does, the defense mechanism kicks in and goes, you're not coming in. Make sense? Savvy? What I want you to do is give me your number one takeaway from this show here. And I would probably go away and watch it again, because if you're struggling with self-doubt, it's more than likely you're not in a process and life is dominating you rather than you dominating life. Life's too short for that. Don't have time for that. So let's get to a process. Even if it's a process of building a morning routine or doing 3 or 4 20-minute workouts a week, it's going to make the difference. If you're not doing stuff to build your confidence, you're doing stuff to open the floodgates of self-doubt.